we go. Episode 102. Right? Yeah, 102. What's up, buddy? July 7th.
July 7th.
How you doing?
Good.
Just got over UFC 276. Getting hot again. Let the summer of UFC really commence. We said that like 3 weeks ago, but now we're actually starting to hit, so now we can actually say it.
Yeah.
Next couple weeks are pretty important. We actually have a bunch of good cards coming up that we can bet on, so we're going to get into that a little bit later. But the next 3-4 weeks are full of fights. At one point, we'll show you the entire board. You can kind of see it, but we went through the last 3 weeks extensively yesterday.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I would say not even for this card, dude. We ain't really for this upcoming fight night. Like, I would say more in like the pay-per-view. You know what I mean? Tom Aspinall and Paddy Pimblett. Like,
well, that's not even a pay-per-view. That's a fight night.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and the pay-per-view that's coming up after that fight night isn't on the sportsbook yet, but it is a really good pay-per-view. We didn't talk about it too much because we don't really talk about them until the podcast or until they come out, but we can definitely get into that today because you have 2 championships on the line. And let's just kind of, before we get into what happens this week, couple weeks going forward, because we have a lot to say about that, we talk about the pay-per-view that happened last week. Fucking UFC 276 was, it had its ups and downs.
Yeah.
It definitely had its ups, and there wasn't too many like bad fights. It was just boring fights. It was kind of riddled through the card, which was unfortunate.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of knockouts or anything, but I mean,
there was actually a couple. Knockouts.
The Alex Pereira one was.
There was actually like several. I think there was more finishes than there was decisions, if I have that right. So we had 2 decisions there, 2 more. So that's 4, 6. All right, so there was 6 decisions, which actually means that there was 5.
Yeah, and
finishes.
like the O'Malley fight was kind of a fucking letdown, dude.
Mm-hmm,
like,
definitely.
And the Jalen Turner fight was kind of like knocked the wind out of your fucking sails, dude. Like, had too many bets on him, and that's just that's a fault on both of us. I mean, I know you took the blame. You said that's you, but yo, dude, that guy had a big ass reach advantage.
Yeah, he did.
And to really go into this week, I mean, we're not going to talk about it yet, but there's a guy with a 9.5-inch reach advantage.
Right, just like Jalen Turner had. Jalen Turner had one of the most impressive performances. He got a performance of the night bonus.
Yeah, he
submitted
him in 45 seconds, dude. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it was. I want to say it wasn't a rear naked choke. It might have been an arm triangle, maybe. It might have been a rear naked choke, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jalen Turner's got a performance bonus. Alexander Volkanovski got a performance bonus in his title defense, which we'll talk about shortly. And Alex Pereira got a performance bonus.
Yeah.
So the 3 big names that did end up winning, maybe Jalen Turner not so much a big name, although he's kind of trending that way. He just got ranked. He's now number 14 in the lightweight division.
Yeah.
5-0 since going down a division from welterweight. 5-0 with 4 finishes in lightweight. Now is ranked. He's going to be a name that we're going to talk about for the end of the year. I bet he has another fight probably around that top 15 mold, and it's going to be really exciting to see who he goes against.
Yeah, you think Sean O'Malley, Pedro Munoz fight again? Round 2?
I don't think that fight will get booked just yet. I think that it should, but I want to say that O'Malley
is like past it already. Like he was already like kind of celebrating. Like,
right.
And he tweeted.
He was celebrating it, but here's the thing: I thought he was losing the fight. Definitely.
You thought he was?
Yeah, he was getting outstruck. Munoz definitely won the first round, and then it was like a split in the second round. So
yeah,
it's hard to say, but I wouldn't be
impressed with O'Malley, dude. Like I know, like dude, it's like comes to a point where like you gotta bet against the name. You know what I mean? Like kind of with like Sean Strickland and Pereira, dude. Like you bet against.
And when you talk about
name.
that fight, O'Malley had such a reach advantage, and Pedro Munoz has the experience. He's been in, I think it was 8 top 15 fights before that, and O'Malley, this was his first top 15 fight.
Yeah, I think so.
And I don't mean obviously he had fought Chito Vera, who was ranked, and he fought Raulian Paiva, who used to be ranked, but this was his first ranked versus ranked fight.
Yeah.
So this is the first fight that like you could say legitimately mattered to his ranking status, and It was at least an even fight. I shouldn't say that he was losing, but we were looking for something more. He had a hilarious moment. I don't know if you caught this on Twitter later because they've been showing it nonstop, but Pedro Munoz went for a spinning back kick and missed. And then Sean O'Malley just does like a pirouette spin and like gives him a fucking look like this. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember seeing that live.
But let's talk about the big fights. Obviously, we talked about how Jalen Turner had a first round submission over Brad Riddell. That was a very impressive win.
Yeah, it was.
Dricus du Plessis had a very impressive win over Brad Tavares, the returning Brad Tavares, in which du Plessis dominated rounds 2 and 3 to a decision win. That was very impressive. Who else do we have? Andre Muniz absolutely dominated Uriah Hall.
Domination.
And he obviously dominated him on the ground, but Andre Muniz beat Uriah Hall standing, which was super impressive. I did not think he was going to be able to do that.
Impressive, and it had me nervous.
Yeah, it did have you nervous, but at the same time, he was out like Uriah Hall total strikes. He had 24 total strikes, 6 significant strikes the whole time.
Yep.
I mean, Muniz just outclassed him standing, and Uriah Hall is supposed to be one of the best kickboxers in the world. I thought it was super impressive. Obviously, he has the youth on his side. He has the momentum on his side in his career. But for Muniz to, like, knock down Uriah Hall and then just absolutely dominate him on the ground, which we knew he would. He's number 10 now in the middleweight rankings, or he might be number 9, actually. Number 10 in the middleweight rankings. And I've been calling this guy a fucking top tenner for a while. Glad to see that he's finally there. I'm excited to see Andre Muniz.
Yeah, I know, he's good. Definitely impressed me, man. Definitely impressed me. The ground game is what makes him dangerous. You know what I mean? It takes his it makes him top 5 worthy. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's a mixed martial artist. You know.
The middleweight division definitely took center stage in this card. We saw Alex Pereira, we saw Adesanya, we saw Andre Muniz, all her top 10 right now.
Yeah.
So the middleweight division was stacked through and through. Du Plessis and Brad Tavares is also in that division. So a lot of middleweight fights and a
greatest
lot of good
fucking
fights.
bet ever. Fucked up on that.
Also, we saw Donald Cerrone retire. That was a huge part of the night, too.
Jim Miller,
Jim Miller had a great guillotine in round 2. Jim Miller on a 3-fight win streak and just signed, I want to say, in 3 or 4 fight contract.
44 fights, I think. I think that's what he's going for, 44.
Because he just hit his 40th. The combined fight experience in that fight was 78 total. Because that was Cerrone's 38th fight and Miller's 40th. So you're never going to see an experienced fight like that again, which Miller even called out. It was a really cool fight to see. Cerrone hung up the gloves with his kids in the ring, and Miller celebrated. Miller trying to make another push. He's got another 3 or 4 fights left. I don't think he's going to go that far, but maybe we'll get to see him fight Joe Lozon, who's been looking for a fight with an experienced fighter lately. Yeah. So to get the bag, as all these legends should be able to do, get the bag at the end of their career. Mm-hmm. And that was it for really the prelims. You know, Jalen Turner took the cake for the best fight of the night, best submission of the night.
Glad I was gonna bet on Joe. I wish they fought. I wish Joe Lozon and him fought too, because Joe Lozon was the fucking underdog.
Yeah, I still would have taken Cerrone in that fight. I think.
Still would have taken. I would have taken Joe.
All right. Oh, also Ian Gary continued his undefeated streak through the UFC with a decision victory over Gabe Green. Really took it to him in round 2 and 3. So Ian Gary being shouted out by Conor McGregor as well.
Up and coming. And
now we get into the main card. So first fight was Munoz O'Malley, which we already talked about a little bit. It was an even fight. I would have liked to see more. I know a lot of people were expecting O'Malley to dominate, but it was definitely a striking endeavor. 40 seconds left. O'Malley pokes the right eye of Munoz, who could not recover. Ended up calling a no contest after the doctor told, I want to say it was Jason Herzog, that he couldn't continue.
Yeah.
And then Munoz came out the next day with a fractured orbital bone. So people were saying, like, oh, it's bullshit. Munoz just didn't want to continue the fight. It was a fucked up eye.
Yeah.
Like, it was a great call by the ref and the doctor. And I would like to see a rematch down the road. I don't know who else O'Malley really wants to go against, because, you know, his rise to stardom is going to get hindered if he doesn't go against a top 15 guy. So I would say someone in the top 10 is perfect for him because he's 13. So if he doesn't go against a guy like Pedro Munoz, I like the Dominic Cruz matchup, although I think that's a tough matchup for O'Malley. I just think stylistically they're so similar that it would be a fun fight to watch. And then you got guys coming up like Jack Shore, Adrian Yanez that we could see eventually. But for right now, I think O'Malley's going to take it easy. And maybe we'll see a rematch, maybe we won't. But
yeah, this Jack Shore fight is going to be interesting. Mm-hmm. No doubt.
Jack Shore versus Ricky Simon coming up in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
After that, Robbie Lawler versus Brian Barberena, which I think is where people kind of started during the podcast to level off. And Colby was falling asleep. I think you kind of started hitting the sack around this time. It was a weird fight. So Lawler.
Adesanya? Oh no! Oh yeah, I did not watch that fight. Yeah.
Lawler versus Barberena. Barberena attempted like 350 strikes in the first round. He was just kept doing this the entire round. Just kept throwing 50%, 50%, 50%. It was crazy. And Lawler won the first round. He only threw like maybe 70 strikes, but he landed almost the same amount. And so, Barberena got rocked in the first round. And then in the second round, Barberena kept it up. He just kept throwing these shots, eventually uppercutted Lawler and just finished him. Like, it was really a comeback. And it was at the end of the second round. So, with 13 seconds left.
Wow.
Robbie Lawler coming off that momentum after he beat Nick Diaz. And Barberena took him down and then called out the entire division with a pretty good call out. Like, I've been here for a while. I don't know why people are ducking me because they think that I'm not a good fight. Like, I'll take on anybody. So, it was a really good call out. I think Brian Barberena proved to a lot of people that he can stand and bang. Because Robbie Lawler, even though he is as old as he is, he can still box with the best of them.
Yeah.
Brian Barberena took the cake in that. And then we get into the big fights of the night. So, I'll let you talk about the Alex Pereira-Sean Strickland fight, because that was your boy the whole time.
Well, not really my boy. I just, been going with this guy for over a year and a half, you know. Before he was even signed to the UFC, before he signed to the LFA. I think he did exactly. He didn't change anything in his game plan because he's done that before, knocking people out with the left hook. Throwing a 1-2 and with the left hook knocks the dude out cold.
Mm-hmm.
Cold. And I think like I told you yesterday, you know, when you're a kickboxer and you got a guy that's coming at you forward all the time, and you can back him up with your kicks, you can set that up perfectly and set up whatever you're best at. With you, you cannot press forward against a kickboxer. You just can't do it, obviously.
And Sean Strickland just came into that fight. We talked about this yesterday.
He looked unconfident.
Right. He looked terrible. He looked like he didn't want to be there. His hands were lazy. Like, he wasn't in a active stance. He was kind of just mulling around like this the whole time, looking like he was slow.
Yeah.
And Pereira, I want to say it was 2 minutes in? 2.5 minutes in.
Yeah.
Super impressive performance. You know, I saw a couple things that I agree with that Sean Strickland first round. That Sean Strickland should get praise for taking this fight because a lot of ranked fighters, much less a lot of fighters that are ranked as high as he was, because he was ranked number 4 in the division, would not have taken this fight because it's a risk you don't need to take. This guy's obviously a phenom rising in the ranks, and you know, if you're number 4, you're not likely to take on an opponent like ranked number 10 or lower, much less a guy unranked.
Yeah, exactly.
And so Strickland took that fight. Props to him. He was talking shit as Sean Strickland usually does, and Alex Pereira obviously got the knockout of the night with, like you said, the left hook. Now is ranked 5th in the middleweight division, and Sean Strickland 6th. So we see Alex Pereira debut in the rankings at number 5.
What's happened to Alex Pereira when he gets taken to the ground? Because him and Vettori, if he can't knock him out in the first round, I think Vettori could get him down to the ground. I mean, Vettori couldn't get Adesanya down to the ground, but Adesanya
I would love to see.
Adesanya needs to take Pereira to the ground.
I would love to see. There's a lot of fighters in the middleweight division that can wrestle. You know, you look at the top 5. And the only ones that I would say probably aren't great at wrestling, even though they can, is Paulo Costa, who's number 4, and Derek Brunson, who's number 3. I think that's how it goes. Yeah, because it's Whittaker, Vettori. Oh no, Cannonier. So actually, I think Pereira's 6. Pereira is 6. Excuse me. Whittaker, Cannonier, Vettori all can wrestle, and Brunson can all wrestle very well, and then Costa's so-so.
Yeah.
So Pereira against any of those stylistically is not a great matchup. I think Cannonier would be his best bet because Cannonier can wrestle but doesn't go to the ground a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to have face Adesanya. It's just when does Dana White want him to?
I think that's the next fight.
The dude wasn't even ranked yet.
I think that's the next fight. I really do. Because who else do you put Adesanya against? Whittaker and Cannonier both just lost Adesanya. Vettori just lost Adesanya but then beat Paulo Costa. So he needs another win before he can challenge him for a third time. At least another win. And Derek Brunson just lost to Jared Cannonier. So I think Brunson versus Pereira would be a good number 1 contender fight. But at the same time, I think Pereira beating Strickland in the way he did is a perfect way for Dana White to have no excuses to say, yeah, I'm going to set this guy up. And plus it's going to sell because, like you said, they have the history in kickboxing. And this guy's knocked out Adesanya twice. Or once, and he decision beat him another time.
I think he's knocked him out twice.
Okay. So, I mean, I can see that being what they're going to do because the middleweight division is just stagnant right now because Adesanya is cleaning house and lapping everybody. Like Usman and Volkanovski are doing, basically. He's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And I don't foresee Adesanya moving up to try to challenge light heavyweight again anytime soon. You know, and that would be his only other recourse.
Yeah, no, he's not doing that.
Speaking of that, we didn't really talk about it, but Adesanya and Cannonier had a middleweight title fight, and Adesanya was victorious, defending his middleweight title. I said this before the pay-per-view, I said it during our live stream, and I said it afterwards in a couple chat rooms, or like chat feeds that we had on Twitter. Adesanya is the most skilled, smart, and boring champion, striking-wise, in UFC history. I really believe that. He got into this huge Twitter battle, not huge Twitter battle, but like this thing on Twitter with Chris Pratt. You see this?
No.
Chris Pratt was in the crowd for UFC 276, and he tweeted like, all props to everybody that competed. I thought it was a great show. I didn't love it though because the main event was a boring fight. I thought if you're the main event, you should go crazy and give the fans a show, and it didn't deliver, something like that. And Adesanya tweeted back like, good morning, I'm still champ, and you still act. Like, shut the fuck up, basically. Yeah. And Chris Pratt apologizes, like, you're totally right, champ, whatever. But Chris Pratt has a point. You know, in his last...
Does he, though? Like, he's a champion. He can win, dude. Like,
in his last
like
his last 4 fights are decision. And he's supposed to be the best striker in the game. And I'm completely for the fact if it's not broke, don't fix it. Like, if you're the champ and you're beating the shit out of everybody, don't fix it. But there comes a point where, and he's this huge draw because everybody knows Adesanya, and he's this personality on Twitter and YouTube and everything like that. So you can't really say he's not a draw. But if he wasn't this guy on YouTube, you would look at him and be like, that's a boring champion. Because he kind of is.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that because you should do whatever you can do to hold on to your belt and be the best.
Yeah, that Paulo Costa fight was his last best. That was
his last knockout. And I want to say his like
fight.
2 or 3 fights before that were decisions as well.
Yeah.
So he's at like 6 out of 7 of his last fights are decisions. And for a guy of his striking prowess and caliber,
Pereira's gonna go in there and take more risks than he does, dude.
And we talked about that, and I think that could be a downfall of Pereira because...
Not with the way that Adesanya's been fighting recently. I think that would work to his advantage.
Yeah, but Adesanya is so great at moving his head and getting out of the way and running away when he needs to. And if Pereira's going to come in there throwing bombs, he better be ready to miss the first 20 of them.
Not throw... Well, yeah, he knows how to fight him, I think. I think he knows his game plan against him.
I do, too. I just think that Adesanya... I don't think it's going to be an easy fight for Pereira at all. I think that this fight's going to go into deep water. And Adesanya's going to stick and move and touch Pereira and not go for the knockout strike. I think that you're right, though. The best way to beat a kickboxer is to find a kickboxer at the same level. which I think Pereira isn't there yet, but is the closest one. You know?
Isn't there yet, dude? He beat him twice in kickboxing champion.
I agree with you, but it's going to take me a little bit more to see him in the UFC octagon before I say that he's as good of a kickboxer as Adesanya is. Just from the way that Adesanya sets everything up in the octagon. And I get that he's beaten him in kickboxing.
You said he was a boring fighter.
He is a boring fighter. He's still a great fighter. He's still smart and technical like we've never seen before, though.
Yeah, except his last 6 fights.
You can be smart and technical and go to a decision. That's what I've said. He's just boring.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think Pereira wins, and he's beaten him twice before. He's knocked him out cold before. I think he is the better kickboxer. He's proven it already, and I mean, it is Adesanya's cage. I mean, it's different in that aspect. Different gloves. This dude's fucking huge.
Yeah, he is.
This dude weighed in at 184, and 2 days later, this dude's 214. Like, what the fuck?
It's ridiculous. Like, that was the first thing I noticed because I had watched his fights before, but I'd never watched him live, and that he was just ridiculously big for the division that he's in.
Dude's huge.
Like, he's a Khabib of the middleweights.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He weighs in, and then he shows up like 30 pounds heavier.
Dude's huge. Dude's fucking massive.
So that's a fight that we can look forward to possibly at the end of the year. I think that
would be awesome.
Yeah, I think it's going to be this year that it happens. You know, we got another 5 months.
That'd be sick.
Adesanya traditionally fights like 3 times a year, 2 or 3 times, especially if he fought as early as he did. So like, he gets like a good 4 months separation from his fights. Yeah, it's all going to depend on what Dana White wants to do. And if I was Dana White, I wouldn't throw Alex Pereira against anybody else. I would throw him against Adesanya right away because that's your best chance of making money.
Yeah.
Which I think is what he's going to do. Obviously,
especially
that's
after
what White
both
wants to
winning,
do.
yeah.
Right. All right. The last fight I want to talk about is Volkanovski versus Holloway 3. You didn't get to see this fight.
No.
Did you watch any of it?
No.
All right. You saw Holloway's cut, though.
No.
The next morning, we were talking outside and chilling for a little bit, and you saw the cut that was above his eye, that the entire trainer's gauze was inside of his eye because gash was that deep. It was one of the worst cuts I've ever seen. Ever. And I've been watching this shit for a while. It's like a Q-tip, but there's like that much of the Q-tip that's actual padding that you put to cover the cut. So it's like a good, I don't know, what is that, 1.5 to 2 inches?
Yeah, I'd say that's like 2 1/4.
And it's fully submerged into this dude's eyebrow. The gash was that big. And as soon as they took it out, blood was gushing down. It was a terrible cut. He got in the second round. You know, props to Max. He fought the whole time with it. But when I say Volkanovski...
He went 5 rounds.
Yeah, he went 5 rounds. But when I say Volkanovski, like, it was... I don't want to say it was as one-sided as Holloway-Qatar, but it was fucking close. Like, Volkanovski beat the shit out of Holloway, standing the entire time. And you're talking about a guy who's 4 inches shorter than Holloway. Now, granted, his reach was longer, because Volkanovski has a ridiculous reach.
Yeah.
But Volkanovski, I'm going to read you, Volkanovski had 199 significant strikes to Max's 127.
Wow.
He had 204 strikes to Max's 164, and he had 53% significant strike percentage, 54% total strikes.
Wow.
It was 50-45. I want to say one judge had 50-44. Just put the trilogy to bed. Because, you know, I'm one of the people that said the second fight, I think Max could have won it. Like, I think that it was really fucking close. That's why in this fight, I was like, well, probably going to win, but fuck Holloway, especially with what he did to Qatar and what he did to Rodriguez and Ortega. Like, shit, it's going to be close. It was not close at all. The first minute was close. After that, nothing. Max had no competition for Volkanovski. Right after the fight, he says he is going to move up to lightweight and challenge Charles Oliveira for the title. And he wants to defend both belts, which we've never seen before. Every super champ, double champ, always takes the second belt and then stays in that division. And they don't go back and forth.
I think he can beat Charles, bro.
I saw an interesting.
You see the poll on Twitter?
No, I haven't. Have you seen it?
People are favoring Charles.
I know. We were talking about that yesterday.
Yeah, but that's when people lose money, and then you bet on the other dude.
I saw a thing yesterday that
that's what happened.
They had the top 5 lightweights in their heights compared to Volkanovski. Because Volkanovski's 5'6", 5'7".
Yeah.
Oliveira's 5'11", Poirier's 5'9", Makhachev's 5'11". Like, all these guys are way bigger. But then I did a deep dive, and I'm like, how much does that really matter? Oliveira has a half-inch reach advantage on Volkanovski. 4 inches taller, 4.5 inches taller. He has a half-inch reach advantage. Poirier has an inch disadvantage against Volkanovski. Makhachev has an inch disadvantage against Volkanovski.
I do.
Now, I still believe Makhachev's the fucking dark horse in this division. I think that...
I think that might be him.
He's not... He doesn't sell as well as Oliveira versus Volkanovski fight. Like, he's not the big draw, but he's the boogeyman of the division. Like, no one wants to fight him because they don't want to go to the ground with this guy. Obviously. Which is why I think Oliveira-Makhachev should happen first. That should be the lightweight title because the lightweight title is vacant right now.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. There's not even a champion right now. So I think it should be Oliveira-Makhachev. Makhachev's on an 8-fight win streak. Obviously, any lightweight championship is with Oliveira in it.
Not gonna happen.
But goddamn, I want Volkanovski versus Oliveira.
Dana White is going to have Makhachev face Beneil Dariush.
Yep.
Dude, Beneil Dariush. Everyone forgets about Beneil Dariush. When does anybody talk about Beneil Dariush?
I've talked about Beneil Dariush.
No, I know we have, but like nobody talks about Beneil Dariush.
He is
like Daniel Cormier and Joe Rogan ain't talking about Beneil Dariush.
Right.
Fucking, they're talking about.
He's another one of those guys. He's not a draw, but he's effective. He's another one of those guys.
He's a big boy.
He's a boring fighter.
He's a big boy when he fights, dude.
He wrestled Tony Ferguson the 3 rounds and just kept control, which is great. But you're not going to do that against Makhachev.
That's great. That's really... that's a big boy.
It is. Makhachev versus Dariush is going to be very interesting. Because
depending on what the number is.
I think that fight will be standing more than we probably expect it to. Because they both have great wrestling. So they might...
I don't think Makhachev would try and go to the ground, dude. It could be...
I'm sure he will.
He's going to submit him.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what he's going to look for, but I think they're going to try to stand for a while, and I think that both of them will be able to execute good takedown defense.
Khabib has all his people go for submissions, dude, because it adds to his legacy and to his name and to his wrestling ability, and to them to just practice on one thing of going for an armbar or going for a choke.
Understood.
I really think that's their mindset, is to submit people.
I think that...
Because they're not really good strikers. Also, your ankle eye of...
So, I was thinking about this, right? I asked you this yesterday. I said Volkanovski or Poirier. Or Volkanovski or Oliveira. And we both said probably Volk. Right?
Yeah.
I thought about it a little bit more last night and this morning, and I'm kind of even now. Kind of at a pick 'em. Because Oliveira's one of the most underrated UFC fighters ever. Like, this guy should be talked about as a top 10 fighter of all time. Easily.
Yeah.
You know, most finishes, highest finish rate.
Who?
Charles Oliveira.
Yeah.
Most submissions. He has 30 fights in the UFC, which is pretty crazy. He's 21 of 30, and he's on
fights. That's a lot of fights.
And he's on a 10-fight win streak, and I think like 9 of them are by decision finish. So he's in the prime of his career. He just beat Poirier and Chandler and Ferguson. Like, he's on a great run right now. Volkanovski is obviously going to be the best fighter who's ever fought, because Volkanovski is another guy that's going to be top 10, I believe, by the time he retires. But Oliveira's jiu-jitsu is just so world-class above everybody else that as soon as you get to the ground, the fight could be stopped.
It's up there, man. It's up there. Everyone else is over here. Islam Makachev probably around here, but he's still. That's a big gap.
Right.
It's a big gap.
And Oliveira. Oh, Gaethje was the other guy that I forgot to mention.
Yeah, he's not going to the ground.
Oliveira got barely tapped and went to the ground because he knows that he just wants to go to the ground. So that's gonna have to be. Volkanovski can wrestle. He was a fucking rugby player, transitioned into a wrestler to start his career, so we know he can wrestle. He hasn't done a lot of wrestling besides a little bit in the Chan Sung Jung fight, and that was just because he knocked him down and then kept him down. So that's going to be really interesting. You know, Oliveira's underrated standing. We've seen him knock out Michael Chandler, and we've seen him knock out a couple people.
Yeah.
But it's not on the same level as Volkanovski, you know? Like, Gaethje knocked down Oliveira twice, and I would say that Volkanovski's striking is even better than Gaethje's. Gaethje's just more wild and more powerful.
It's a great fight, too. Gaethje, Volkanovski. Volkanovski's winning.
Yeah.
I'm hammering Volkanovski's first fight in
lightweight.
Yeah.
He's going to challenge for the title first. He won't have to fight anybody else.
People will not think he's going to win, dude, because he's moving up in a division.
Yeah, I think Volkanovski will be... I think it'll be fucking close to a pick'em, though. Like, I think Volk might be plus 105.
Yeah. I think that's a great number.
Yeah, it is.
Even plus 115.
So you have a 12-fight win streak in Volkanovski versus a 10-fight win streak in Oliveira. Two of the top 4 pound-for-pounds in the world right now.
What's the height difference?
4 inches.
That's not bad.
With a half-inch reach advantage for Oliveira.
I'm going Volk, dude.
It's one of those things that, Volk, like, man. He has that John Jones reach for his division. John Jones' reach has always been fucking bigger. And Volkanovski isn't always bigger, but the fact that he's 5'6", with a 72-inch reach, man, that's being 5'6", and your arms are 6 feet. You know, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
He is... A lot of people are giving shit to the UFC because they think Volkanovski should be number 1 pound for pound. I'm not ready to go that far yet.
I'm not ready to go that far.
It's still Usman.
Could go Oliveira. Usman's, dude.
For me, it's Usman, Volkanovski, and Oliveira are the top 3.
But why? Why is it Usman? Because his last fights, he's fought like nobody.
He's fought Colby, Jorge
twice.
Gilbert Burns. The Jorge's, I'm like, meh.
Burns and the Jorge. He fought Burns once. His fucking old training partner.
He knocked out Gilbert Burns.
Yeah, his old training partner.
He knocked out Jorge.
Twice.
TKO.
I know, but
no, he only knocked out Jorge.
I know.
Once.
No, he knocked. I'm saying he has 2 knockouts.
Okay. Yeah. Technically, he has 3 because he TKO'd Colby in the first fight.
Yeah, technically.
I am of the opinion that Colby is super underrated. I think he has 2 wins against Colby, and that's fucking saying something. Yeah. Because I think Colby's really fucking good.
Colby couldn't take him to the ground.
But here's my thing. Usman was number 1 pound for pound before he started training with Trevor Whitman. And then his striking became world class. And now Usman's another fucking level.
Yeah.
Like, Usman's lost 2 rounds in his last 4 fights.
Yeah.
That's pretty fucking great. Volkanovski's right there.
Yeah, nobody's faced the fucking same guys.
Yeah, because those guys stay at the top of their division. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah, I know. We'll see when he faces Kamaev.
Yep.
I want to see him face someone other than...
Well, he's fighting Leon Edwards.
He's fighting Leon Edwards. Guys for, like, 4 years. Not 4 years. 2 years.
Yeah.
2 years.
He's fighting Leon Edwards.
And he trained with Gilbert Burns.
In August.
He trained with Gilbert Burns, dude.
Mm-hmm.
He knew how to beat him.
Right.
I wouldn't even
but
give
then
that.
again, you could say the same thing. You could say Burns knew how to beat Usman.
Yeah, but obviously they both knew who was the better fighter mentally. I think, like I would assume so.
I don't think Burns.
I think Burns.
You
could
argue that, sure. I don't think Burns would have thought
dumb
that
for
before.
not taking him to the ground. I'm not dumb. I shouldn't say that. It's kind of harsh. I would say not smart.
That's another thing you could say about Usman.
He's never been taken
Officially, he's never been taken down, even though Colby should have gotten a takedown in their last fight.
Yeah.
But officially, he's never been taken down either. That's pretty fucking impressive.
Yeah, I know.
Volkanovski's only been taken down once, which, you know, is
Brian
barely
Ortega,
difference.
he almost fucking got choked out. Oh wait, no, that doesn't count, right?
But Volkanovski's been doing the same thing. Volkanovski's only beaten Holloway, Ortega, and Jung.
Yeah.
And Usman's only beaten Jorge, Burns, and Colby.
Yeah.
Holloway.
I'm not comparing them.
Okay.
I'm just saying Usman.
That was what I had in my head because they are very fucking close.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they are. They're 1 and 2. Obviously they're close. Oliveira's right there too, I think. Oliveira doesn't have that. I guess you could say Poirier was a very key title defense. To me, Justin Gaethje's obviously an incredible fighter, world-class fighter, but when you have a jiu-jitsu expert fighting a boxer, it's not as impressive to me as it should be, because that obviously it's Justin Gaethje. It should be a very impressive win, but to me, it's just like we all knew Oliveira was going to win that.
Yep.
Huh, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I think, Oliveira is something else, man, because if he can beat Volkanovski, I feel like I keep saying this, though. If he can beat this guy, if he can beat him, if he can beat that, and he fucking always does. And here I am, going to bet against him again if he faces Volkanovski. And he's going to be like minus 135, dude. And it's going to piss me off if he wins.
Is he, though? Is he going to be minus 135?
Does that fight go the distance? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And if it does, I give it to Volkanovski.
Oh, 100%.
But I do not think that goes a distance. I think Volkanovski can finish him. I think
if Charles
Volkanovski knows what not to do to get into trouble on the ground, I think he's smarter than the average Joe. He freaking trained with Ryan Gordon, dude. The fucking greatest jiu-jitsu artist of all time. All time. Like, no one has more titles than this dude. Like, he trains with the best of the best. You can give it to Volkanovski, man.
If Oliveira couldn't tap out Chandler with a cinched-in rear naked choke, and if Ortega couldn't choke out Volkanovski with a cinched-in mounted guillotine and then a rear naked choke, is Oliveira going to be able to tap out Volk? You know what I mean?
Tell you one thing, if he can
tap out Volk,
it says a statement on this guy's jiu-jitsu.
The winner of that fight should become pound for pound number 1.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're double champ. You're
Well, no, only Volk would be double champ.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I know, that's what I mean. You're double champ. You should be the fucking pound for pound number 1.
Right. But even if Oliveira beats him,
yeah,
I think he should still be.
But I mean, I say that, and then there's like Amanda Nunes or whatever.
Yeah, but the UFC separates men and women for pound for pound. I think it's hilarious that, I mean, I guess I agree with it, but the women's pound for pound, number 1 is Shevchenko, number 2 is Nunes, number 3 is Pena.
Yeah.
It's interesting, right?
Yeah, I don't know what I'm interested to see what the number is gonna be on.
I'm telling you, Nunes is gonna be like minus 600.
You think so?
That was what it came out as the early odds. Oh, the NHL drafts today.
Ooh, drop everything. Drop everything.
So right now, looking early odds, this is only estimated by OddsShark. Early odds is Nunes minus 315, Pena plus 270. So way better than I thought it'd be.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Nunes, dude.
Yeah.
I thought she was going to be a minus 500. I'll take that number. I'm not going to put on a lot, but I'll take that number. Absolutely.
Yeah, everybody has it between 300 and 330, so that number's pretty fucking
Yeah,
good.
I'll take her minus 200. Do I think it'll go up? Yes.
Yeah, I do too.
Fucking Tom Aspinall shoots up 20 points. Shoots up 20 points in a half an hour.
Ridiculous. Pena's only 2 losses are against Jermaine Durandamy, who is retired now but was one of the best bantamweights ever, and Valentina Shevchenko.
Yeah.
I think Juliana Pena deserves some respect. I'm going to have to look a little bit more at that, although maybe I'm thinking about it too much because it really should just be fucking Amanda Nunes. But that fight is in a month's time. Now, a card also has Brandon Moreno versus Kai Kara-France. I haven't decided one way or the other on that fight.
I'm taking Kai Kara-France.
I know you are.
I'm not second guessing that. And I'm taking Dos Anjos this weekend at plus 180. You know,
yeah, so Dos Anjos Fiziev.
Let me just let everybody know, because you already know I sent it to you. Max Holloway has not been knocked down in 26 fights. The current record holder in the UFC is Rafael Dos Anjos at 30 fights of not being knocked down.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know Max Holloway just lost and again didn't get knocked down, but I'm going to go with the vet in this at plus 180. No doubt in my mind.
I've seen so many people contradict themselves on Twitter of Dos Anjos has the cake on the ground. Rafael Fiziev will take down Dos Anjos and keep him down. Dos Anjos will be able to submit Fiziev. Fiziev won't be able to be submitted. Like, I don't know what to think for this fight, to be honest with you. My heart says that Fiziev will be able to outstrike Dos Anjos. My brain says that Dos Anjos is a grizzled vet, tough motherfucker, who's been there, done this, former champ, and Fiziev's fighting the toughest fight he's ever had to fight before, and Dos Anjos isn't.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm glad you said that.
Fiziev's 29, Dos Anjos is 38. Let's check out a little bit of the reach. You got a 1.5 inch reach advantage for Fiziev. Height is the same. Not that that really matters too much. I've said Fiziev is gonna win the whole time. I'm gonna stick with that. Although I've told you I'm not putting any bets on this.
Yeah, respect.
Where the fuck's my other shit?
So I am putting bets on this, and I am picking Dos Anjos.
2 years.
2 years. I was gonna say 2 times. 2 times. You like that?
2 years. We were literally watching.
You know that
YouTube
song though,
video.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should 2 times. We were literally watching a YouTube video of it yesterday. His name was scrolling down at the bottom of it, and I just look at it. I'm like, is that Raphael 2 years?
Yeah, it is definitely
Raphael,
Raphael 2 years. I'm interested to see if you can bet to go to the distance or not. And you can. So the fight to go the distance, the fight to go to 5 rounds, right? 5 rounds?
Yeah.
Drum roll. What do you think?
The fight to go the distance between Dos Anjos and Fiziev. I would say...
Took too long. Fight to go to distance, no, plus 110.
Okay.
Yes, minus 140. Over, under, 4.5, plus 120. Over, minus 150. That doesn't even make sense because you can't even fucking parlay it with anything, so it's fucking dumb. That's all I got to say about that. Dos Anjos at plus 180 is a fire number. And to cover your basis, I would bet fight not to go the distance because I think maybe Fiziev could potentially stop him.
Mm-hmm.
That would mean that he would knock him down. I do not think Fiziev knocks him down in this fight.
You could take him down though. Fiziev does have good wrestling. You know, they both are
Dos
great.
Anjos has good
they're
wrestling.
both skilled on the
He's
ground.
black belt.
That's jiu-jitsu though.
Black belt.
Mm-hmm.
He's good on the ground.
Right.
Fiziev, this is Fiziev to win by decision is plus 140. Dos Anjos to win by decision is plus 350. Fiziev to win by
Dos
submission.
Anjos to win by decisions plus 350. That I like. I like that a lot.
That's a great bet. Dos Anjos to win by KO plus 1,000. Fiziev to win by KO plus 220. I don't think that is a bad bet. The hell you looking at?
It was some guy swimming with dolphins.
Well, majestic. So, it's not even this is gonna be a tough fight night to really get down. I feel like, but I feel like we're hot right now. So I think like we can definitely make some moves. I like Saeed. I already got Saeed in a lot of tickets, but I'm just going to have to continue that because if you're gonna win, that's how you're gonna win.
Yeah, Saeed Nurmagomedov takes on Douglas Silva de Andrade this week in one of the opening fights of the fight night this week.
Yeah.
Other fights that are pretty big is Caio Borralho versus Armin Petrosian in the middleweight division. That's going to be a really good fight. There's a lot of prospects in this card.
Kennedy Nzechukwu. Got that down. Wow. Minus 130. Great bet. That's the guy that has a 9.5-inch reach advantage. Riding that wave. 100% after what I just saw. Yeah, do I think fight to go the distance? Yes. Plus 127. No. Minus 165. I don't think it's going the distance. I ain't taking that.
For what? Nzechukwu?
Yeah.
What is not to go the distance?
Minus 165.
Yeah.
Over under 1.5 plus 155.
Over 1.5.
I kind of like this too. Nzechukwu by KO plus 220.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Decision is plus 220 as well.
I want to see his previous results.
I like the 220. I'm gonna put a 20 beaner on it, and hope and pray.
Nzechukwu's lost by decision, got knocked out, got a knockout, got 2 knockouts, won a decision. It's like 60% of his fights are finished.
I'm gonna go knockout, and I think he usually wins by knockout.
Wow, in his last fight, he outstruck the guy by 30, but he got taken down once, and they called it for the other guy. That's kind of a shit loss. That was the fight that they were saying, the guys we were watching last night, that they were saying they thought he won. And Nzechukwu is... So, if you count that as a win, his only loss is to Da-Un Jung, who's the guy I was telling you about, who's fighting Dustin Jacoby, that I think is going to fuck up Dustin Jacoby. So that's a really good loss to have.
I think I'm going to take you on that pick. Da-Un Jung. I remember that name.
Da-Un Jung's really good. Carl Roberson, mind you, is on a 3-fight losing streak in which he got finished in all 3.
Interesting.
Yeah. The more and more I look at this, the more I like Nzechukwu. Minus 135 still?
Minus 130.
Nice. Imagine that.
Yeah, so I got a 5-teamer chefing up here, Zachary. Just this card.
Zach's fine.
Huh?
Zach's fine.
No, Zachary. Drapo. Kennedy Nzechukwu. Ricky. I know you don't really like Ricky. Don't know his last name. Don't know how to say it.
Turquoise.
I
don't know.
Borralho, Cynthia Cavallo, and Saeed Nurmagomedov. 5-teamer plus 721.
I'm going to stay away from Calvillo.
You're going to stay away from
Who else
Calvillo?
did you say? I took her on a couple tickets already that I don't like. Or I think I just have one, actually, with Calvillo.
If you don't like them, they're probably the right choice then. Because the bookie fucks with
I
your
don't
head
know about that.
I'm telling you.
I don't like Douglas Silva de Andrade. Should I pick him?
Yeah.
Against Saeed?
Yeah, pick him.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they're all... I mean, if I was going to pick one that I lose, it would be the one that you don't want in there, and it's plus 392. Nzechukwu, Ricky, Barlow, and Saeed. Barlow, you know.
Barala.
Yeah.
Caio.
Whatever.
Caio Barala's another great prospect in the middleweight division. He's going to be very close to being ranked if he wins this fight. If he knocks out Petrosian, I think he might get ranked.
Yeah. You like this bet? This is the bet that you sent me.
Is it? With Shore and Ortega?
Yeah.
I like Shore. I'm not sure about Ortega. I'm not sure about
Well, you
Schnell.
sent it.
I'm not sure about Schnell. But besides that, it's a pretty good bet.
I think you did.
So
Oh, yeah, you did.
the one we want to talk about is July 23rd. That finally came up. Tom Aspinall started as the underdog, is now the favorite. Paddy Pimblett a favorite. Muhammad Makayev a favorite. Paul Craig an underdog in his fight against Volkan Ozdemir. I thought that was very interesting.
Damn, you send me bets that you don't like, huh? I see how it is. I'll remember that.
I think Craig is super interesting at plus 120. We have a couple bets that we want to write on him. I think that's the only underdog that we do like, though. Everybody else for that England card is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still counting Tom Aspinall as an underdog that I like, so I saw him at plus 105, and then he shoots up to minus 115.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this card is, I'm gonna be chefing up a little bit. Couple parlays. I got a pretty good amount, dude. So we still got our pod bet.
Yeah. We have a pod bet that's gonna hit this week with.
Are we doing a $50?
Saeed.
Are we doing a half pod bet this week or no?
This week?
Yeah, for this fight.
Just for this card?
Just for this card?
No, I'm not gonna.
No.
There's not enough fights I feel strongly about because I'm not betting on Dos Anjos.
Or no, we can for this weekend next week.
We can do it for 3 weeks.
Because we don't have.
But the one that we wanted to do for 3 weeks is like almost all for the England card.
Yeah, no.
But if you were to add Saeed to that, like there's some stuff that we could do.
I would be.
I don't think I'm gonna put in a pod bet until July 23rd. That's what I'm gonna do. Like I think I'm gonna do a pod bet for.
So you're not gonna add them all in. You're not gonna.
I'm gonna make bets for all 3 weeks, but I'm not gonna do a huge bet.
Mm.
But I'm gonna do a pod bet for July 23rd and the pay-per-view, because by the time July 23rd rolls around, the pay-per-view will be on the bookie.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna do another pod bet for the pay-per-view because we have to do a pod bet for the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Looking at it quickly, the pod bet for the pay-per-view, and this is subject to change, is Amanda Nunes. For me, I like Sergey Pavlovich. I definitely like Magomed Ankalaev, who's fighting Anthony Smith. That might be it right now.
Isn't that level 3? Isn't that it?
What?
Saeed.
No,
Makayev,
these are just for the
Paddy,
next 3
Tom.
weeks. I'm talking about the pay-per-view.
Oh.
What I'm saying is, by the time this card comes around, July 23rd,
Yeah.
the next week is the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So those will probably both be up at the same time on the bookie. When that comes around, I'm going to do a pod bet on both weeks, and then I'm going to do another pod bet just for the pay-per-view. That's what I'm saying. And then I'm just giving a little heads up of what I have so far. Amanda Nunes, Sergey Pavlovich, Magomed Ankalaev.
Yeah, the thing is, like, I only got, like, 3 tickets this week. It looks like I got a lot of tickets, but it's only this week. And that one's really not going to hit because I got Courtney Casey on it.
Okay.
So I feel like I need to put more because I got a problem.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to be putting more.
I'm going to stay away. I think I was chasing for a while, and I was not hitting. And I didn't put any bets on, like, 2-3 weeks ago, which I think helped me go into perspective of, like, I need to go back to only betting on the fights I know is going to happen.
Yeah.
Because after we got really hot last year, this year I started just betting on everything and, like, what I think's going to happen rather than just betting on what I know is going to happen. So that's what I'm going to start doing. You're going to see less fights, less bets for me in fight nights. I'm going to bet on more fights and pay-per-views.
Damn.
There's going to be weeks that I don't put any bets in. I think I'll put in, like, a single bet for this weekend, and it'll only be, like, a $20 bet. I might put, like... I might put a $5 10-teamer for the next couple weeks or something.
Yeah.
But I'm not
I'll
going to
be
do
putting some bets. I'm going to put, like, probably a unit on this card and try and turn it into something, you know.
Well, I wish you the very best of luck, my friend. That's really all I got. You want to talk about anything?
No, just follow our picks coming up. That's about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Go follow us on our Twitter
we
at
got hot around
@complete_MMA.
this time last year.
International Fight Week, been a success.
Yeah, and we got
I'm
we already
making my
got
money
shit
back.
way lined up for. We got shit lined up for a long time
Mm-hmm.
over there. So, yeah, best of luck, dude, everybody.
All right, episode 102 in the books. Join us on July 30th for UFC 277 when we go live in what should be 8 o'clock all the way through 1 o'clock for the event. Check us out every Thursday night at 7 p.m. for our weekly podcast. Go follow us on our Twitter at @complete_MMA. Go
Yeah,
follow
give us
Fans
a-
Always Sports, and there's many social media accounts.
Yeah, give us a like and a subscribe on the fucking YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get it for the fucking algorithm.
And
Like-
I hope everybody's doing
like
well
it.
in summer bets. So
Like
thank
it.
everybody for tuning in. We're out of here. We'll see you next week.
Like it, subscribe.